I'm going to hit you with another controversial point that I knew nothing about until about this time yesterday when I was about to record some Clemson stuff, and I was searching around and I saw where Dabo Sweeney was making comments that were very complimentary of Jordan Travis. Well, so happens that Jordan Travis had made a comment, and correct me if I'm not getting this correct, because I did not hear it out of Jordan Travis's mouth or in print even, kind of heard it third hand, that he felt as though his wide receivers or maybe himself were being disrespected because Clemson was playing man-to-man.
Yeah, that's the competitor in him talking. And what it means is that I got two NFL guys. You think you got two NFL guys that can cover my guys one-on-one on an island. Now, in their defense, they actually didn't do a bad job. Like Johnny Wilson did have some big grabs. It was some really big grabs. And I think one of the things, and I think it's because of what happened to Jordan previously against Boston College being a little bit banged up. While it wasn't his throwing arm, it's clearly affecting the way the ball is released. And I think if he were a little bit more healthy, you probably would have had better things. But what I would do too, knowing a guy is coming off of injury, I'm gonna man you up and I'm gonna bring pressure. And they did it, and that pressure made him not look at the middle of the field, which was more open than not. Or let me rephrase that, because when he threw it to Johnny Wilson, it's a lot of skinny post and post, so it was technically that's attacking the middle, and it wasn't a 50-50 ball. But he wasn't able to look at Destin Hill, your Winston Wright, your tight ends, and things of that nature. So I see what he's saying, but at the same time, you got to be, when somebody gives you a gift, you got to take it. Teams that blitz heavily and teams that play man are typically trying to hide something. So what your job on offense to do is to figure out what they're hiding so that you can go out there and exploit it. And I think it's just one of those things that you say in competition. Everybody has their scheme. I had Nate Wiggins. If I had a returning, I think Florida State should play man more with some of the NFL caliber guys that they have, as opposed to playing zone. Blitzing, playing man coverage, it releases them. It's really mano a mano. You kind of eliminate a lot of your coverage mistakes, which is what Florida State didn't do. They blitzed and played zone, and there's still a lot of coverage mistakes. So while I believe Dabo was coach speak, I think Jay Trav was more of, I'm the victorious one, and I'm confident, and I'm going to prove that I have this speak.
20 rushes for the Noles for 22 yards. Trey Benson, 7 rushes, 25 yards. Didn't get the ball in his hands much. Of course, they were playing from behind for much of the game, but not by much. They were usually down a score. Your thoughts about the running game?
Not optimal. Obviously, I went back and watched. Everybody calls it I'm sorry. So counter is when you run one direction and then you go the other direction. That's the simplest way I can make counter. Everybody says Florida State runs counter, and they don't. Really, what we run mostly is a power G concept. And so a power G means like a power run where you're pulling a guard minimum. And we ran a lot of GT pulls. So we were going guard tackle, backside guard and tackle. So that gets you to where you have numbers. And I think one play, Trotter did a very good job of they call it spilling the puller, where basically you just running them up, you tomahawk the puller, and it literally blows up the guy right behind them, and it slows down the running back. Well, most of the time, even when they did that, there was plenty of space to run. They just weren't seeing the holes, and I don't know if it was the how tight the situation was where you don't want to make a mistake and go too wide. But I think the running game is more of they're not in sync and they're not in rhythm. The other side of it is that Jordan Travis, and this could be due to injury or whatever the reason, Jordan Travis not pulling the ball is literally messing up the running game. His job he is supposed to keep the backside end occupied. Like the backside end is supposed to sit there and play the bootleg or do that. But instead, he's crashing down on the run. If you hurt him a couple of times, that's going to change all of that. Jay Trav just didn't pull out, and it never worked. So I I think those are the very two very easy corrections. I think it will get corrected, but I think when you look at Boston College, pouring down rain, terrible conditions. You look at Clemson again, guy hurt. Um, you're looking at scenarios where they said, you know what, I'm going to take my chances. I'm going to force you to beat us with your arm, and they sold out on the run. We got to fix that if they're going to get better, or if you're going to even not even get better per se. If you're going to go to the college football playoff and match up with a Michigan, a Georgia, a Texas, or any of those type of teams, if you can't run the ball, you're going to have a long day ahead of you.
Yeah. So when you were on the field playing for this school and you had a bye week, was it pretty obvious based on how the bye week practices went, the parts of the game that the coaches were concerned about or targeting?
Really, a lot of times you practice. They would give us that Monday off. We would practice Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then we have Friday off. And really, it was about cleaning up. Tuesday was about getting healthy and cleaning up some of the things that you saw. But really, you're going into the next week. Their mind is shifted away from Clemson and more towards Virginia Tech, because obviously you can't, and how not to make the same mistake twice, because you can't get the mistakes back that you played against the last team. All you can do is try not to make those same mistakes against an opponent that will know a little bit more about you than others, because the defensive coordinator at Virginia Tech is the former linebackers coach at Florida State under Mike Norvell. So I think that's kind of what you really do. But really the most important thing, and you get younger guys reps. The most important thing of a bye week is getting healthy. You get guys who haven't been being able to practice and take more one reps. You allow them to start taking more than one reps, and you start letting your guys who are the veterans get more mental reps. And I think that's kind of what you got to do. And then it's a long season. I personally would rather the bye week be a little bit later, but it's not. So but you go and you go have fun. Like a lot of times we would you leave, go to the beach, go hang out, go back home. I'm from Tallahassee, so I couldn't go home. My home was already there. But I would go to Destin Beach, or I would go to Panama City for a couple of days. And a lot of guys go home and get up under mama, let her make you some good home cooked meal so that you can get healed up real good. And then you come back on Sunday, when you got to report back, ready to continue the task at hand. Because right now, for them, and I've been in this situation, every one of your goals and your dreams that you started the season off with is right there for you. So they got to continue to go after those goals and dreams.